your data cubes. Once you do that, you then have your rules, which would take that data and they push and pull to other cubes and they manipulate it. A good example would be you have your ETL process through Turbo Integrator that takes your data, puts it into your data cube. To the ThoughtStream Consulting online TM1 tutorials. Today we're going to start the first part installment of a three-part series entitled Rules in TM1. Now, whether you're new or kind of used to or an old hand at TM1, you should be aware of the two main engines that deal with data within TM1. There's Turbo Integrator, which creates a process that is that's run at your command or can be scheduled to run at a set interval to connect to your data source and extract data and then put it into your TM1 system for simplicity's sake. And I'm going to add a rule to my rules cube. I do that by right-clicking it and going down and selecting Create Rule. By doing that, it opens up the rules editor, and across the top it tells me the system server I'm in as well as the cube that I'm applying. And then you need to calculate the variance between January 2010 and January 2011. You have that data at your disposal because of the TI process, but then you need the rules to calculate that actual difference. So this is just something to keep in mind as you continue to go forward with rules and Turbo Integrator and just your general TM1 education. So since this is just your first rules segment, we're going to keep it relatively simple, and I'm just going to show you how to open up the rules editor and then show you what all the buttons and the two wizards do within it. And that should give you a really good starting point for just understanding the editor and how the buttons kind of work. So let's get started. I'm going to open up my cubes, and I already created a rules cube just to use for feeders, which again we'll get into it another time. And your N, C, and S level indicators. And this is basically, are you dealing with N or base level data? Are you dealing with consolidated data? Or are you dealing with string data? And again, we'll get into that another time. You've got an equals, this rule 2. This big white area is where you write your rules, and you can write anything you want there. It doesn't really matter. Well, no, it does matter, because if it's not within the right format and syntax, it won't let me actually save and apply that rule to the cube. And watch what happens when I do this. I get an error. So it kind of keeps you from just writing stuff and not knowing whether it's working or not, which is pretty nice. But this isn't a real rule, so I'm going to delete that. And we'll get into the syntax and correct format of rules later on. So don't worry about that. We'll do that in other segments. Let's go to the buttons at the bottom. You've got your basic arithmetic functions with addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. You then have this equals greater sign then, which actually is you have some element column or intersection of data that is January 2010 versus 2011 variance. Whether you're talking about actuals versus budget or just actuals versus actuals, it doesn't matter. That's how you or your company are setting it. Sign, which is just an equal sign, and then you have a semicolon, which is used to end rules and to tell TM1 when one rule ends and then when other rules begin. Now we have our two wizards. This is the area definition wizard and the database connection wizard. And we'll do the area definition first. So the area definition wizard is useful, it's important to know because every rule needs to have an area to be defined. And what I mean by that is, for instance, with the example I gave earlier, is your variance. You're going to have, so you would select the sales cube, and you would then select the specific data intersection points that you'd want to bring over. Right now we're bringing over all the data in the sales cube to the rules cube. But you could specify that saying, I only want US dollars. But you need to define that area, and you do that by going into versions, and you could select 20 actuals versus budget dollars, and then you could select the period for let's say January, and the accounts for net income. And by establishing those, you're saying I'm going to define the data intersection points at net income in January for the actuals versus budget and dollars amounts. And you click OK, and it just automatically puts it into your rules editor window. And then from there, you would write out the calculation about how that would actually be done. But we won't get into that because that's going to be done at another time. The other is the DB function. This connects from one cube to another. And the example I mentioned earlier of the 2010 versus 2011 variance, you would do that by saying, okay, I'm going to put that in my profit and loss cube, but I need to get that data from the sales cube. Curious about IBM Cognos related products? Please visit us at www.thoughtstreamconsulting.com. And again, we're always open up to suggestions and comments, so please let us know, and have a good day. and I only want the products of the premium cars, and I only want for the England region. Whatever you want, it doesn't matter. You can specify as much as you want or as little as you want. And when you click OK, it just writes a DB function right there that you then would also need an area definition to say where is this going to. So that's the basic wizard. That's the basic layout of the rules editor window. I hope this makes sense. We're going to get into the syntax and the formatting of rules in the next installment. So if you have any questions, you want to contact me directly, you can do so at info@thoughtstreamconsulting.com, or if you have any further questions, or you're